Howdy folks, welcome back to the channel. This will be another episode of World in Flames Collector's Edition, Days of Decision 3 Combined Game Playthrough. This is playthrough number 3. This is going to be the May-June 1940 turn. Yeah. And so far we've seen a pretty interesting game, and I don't think it's going to be any lack of interest going forward in the future turns. It's definitely different. There's been basically no Battle of the Atlantic so far. Poland and France are both gone, but actually historically this would be the turn that France fell. But other than that, I really don't see a lot of changes, except for some of the minors have gotten way different results than I've seen in other games. But anyways, let's get started. What I want to do first is I want to take a look at U.S. entry. Do a quick review of that. Alright, so I only do the U.S. entry basically for the fascists. So I don't think it would ever get high enough in this particular game to worry about it with the Soviets. I don't think they would actually get high enough. I don't even think they get close to 80 before general war breaks out with the fascists. So I don't bother to calculate that. So what I'm looking at right now is the German, Japanese, and Italian U.S. entries. Germany's U.S. entry as of this turn is 54. Japan's U.S. entry as of this turn is 26. And Italy's is a -2. Now, if we take a look at the options that are available for the U.S., grab the sheet. You see the very first one they have that's applicable for this would be U.S. option 9, which is East Coast escorts. That is that's the WIF U.S. entry options, number 11, number 16, and number 20, which is East Coast escorts, gifted destroyers, and land-based air escorts. So that would activate all three of those. Now, the prerequisites for that is Germany and Italy's U.S. entry is greater than 55, or Germany's U.S. entry is greater than 45. Now, we take a look at the U.S. entry, and of course, the Commonwealth is at war with Germany, and the U.S. has a treaty with the Commonwealth. I think the U.S. does have a treaty with the Commonwealth. And we see that Germany's U.S. entry is 54, so that we can actually see this entry played this turn. Though, like I just said, there's been basically no Battle of the Atlantic as of right now. I mean, that could change this turn, but you never know. So we could actually see some U.S. entry action right now. Italy's minimum U.S. entry for, not Italy, Japan's, I think, is 36. To give an entry for them, for the U.S. to start taking action for them, which I believe is the Fleet to Pearl. Yeah. Japan's U.S. entry is greater than 35. So right now, Japan's U.S. entry is 26, so they're still a ways away from that. But it seems that the U.S. entry is starting to pile up, and we have to remember that Italy is still neutral. So I don't know how long that's going to be, but it is as of right now. So let's go take a look at at starting money, and I've sat down. I had to think a while about this, about what the various major powers we want to do for options, for political options this turn. So could be an interesting political turn. So let's go take a look at starting money. Starting money for this turn, we have Germany at 0, Japan at -1, Italy at 1, the Soviets at -3, the Commonwealth at 0, the U.S. at 0, China at -2, and Free France, who now has an income, thanks to the political option they played last turn, is at -2. And I've put in bids for the various major powers. And it comes out something like this. We have the Commonwealth, the Soviets, the Japanese, the Americans, and the Italians all bidding 1, and Germany is bidding 2, and Germany is also trying to go for 2 options. So let's see how this works out on the initiative track. There we go. So we have the Commonwealth bidding 1. They're getting a +3 for their last turn. That's going to give them 4. That's going to put them in at first. The Soviets are bidding 1. They're getting a +2 for their 5th place position from last turn. That's 3. That's going to put them in at 2. A second. The Germans are bidding 2. They're getting a +3. That's 5. However, this is divided by 2 because they're going for 2 political options. That's 2.5. So that's going to be good enough for third. The Japanese are bidding 1. +1 is a 2. And the Americans are bidding 1. +1 is a 2. That's a tie. Take a look at the political effectiveness track. We'll see Japan is at 4, and good old America is at 1, so the Japanese will break that tie. Americans will be 5th, and Italy's bidding 1. They get a 0, which is 1, and that's good enough for 6th. Last card on the Commonwealth, last card on Italy. For the 2 non-bidding major powers, we have France at 4. That's going to put them in at 7th. And the Chinese at 2, that's going to put them at 8th. All right, let me pay for these political bids, and then we'll go and take a look and see what the Commonwealth wants to do. Okay, the Commonwealth has chosen to do minor alliance, and they've thought about it for a little while. They see that the Turkish marker is actually within the fascist ideology already, and so they need to start preparing for a possible Turkish entry into the war on the side of the fascists. So they're going to try to get a minor alliance with Iraq and try to potentially counter any problems this may create in the Middle East. And we already have Iraq right next to the Democrat ideology, so it shouldn't be too difficult for them. But it is going to require a die roll. Well, let's go over the modifiers. Okay, so Iraq's not in a civil war. Iraq does not have any current alliances with anyone. Alright, so we're going to add 1 to the result for each factory or resource marker. There are none. Going to add the miner's willpower. Iraq's willpower is 5, so that's a +5. I'm going to subtract the Commonwealth's initiative position, which is a 1. That's a +4. And let's see, going to subtract the distance in hexes to the status display. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 hexes apart, so that's going to be a +1. The miner is not hostile, and we're not trying to break an alliance. I had to go check real quick, make sure Iraq wasn't hostile to the Commonwealth. Okay, so we have a +1 to the die. We have to have anything better than a 0. So this die rolls kind of really doesn't matter too much. Oh, the alliance is signed. So I'm going to go pay the 5 money. It's going to trigger the treaty chart for modifiers and U.S. entry. We're going to do all that. And when I come back, the Commonwealth will get to activate a miner. And then there will be no roll to see if the turn ends. So we'll move right to the Soviets. I'm back in a second. Okay, the Commonwealth kind of briefly looked things over, but they definitely want to choose Iraq. So I'm going to grab the marker. That's a 3. They basically got that this turn from the minor alliance they signed with Iraq. Come over here to the status display. This should be rather quick. We got 3 points for the Commonwealth. Here's the Iraqi marker. It's 2 for the hex and 1 to cross the boundary. That's a total of 3. There's no modifiers. And there we go. Iraq is now within the Democrat ideology, and it won't take much more to get them stacked with the Commonwealth. All right, well, like I said, we don't roll to see if the turn ends because there's a +1 to the die. And so we'll move right down to the Soviets, and let's go see what Joe Stalin wants to do. Alright, Joe's not really happy about the Commonwealth using the minor alliance thing. Originally, Joe was going to offer a minor alliance, a second alliance to Yugoslavia, and try to bring them into the communists, stack them with the Soviets. Wouldn't quite be enough to do it this turn, but it would get it there. It would get it there. It would be a lot closer. So he's kind of not too happy with Churchill right now. But got to salvage something out of this. So knowing what's going to come in the future, probably, we're going to offer a level 2 treaty with the United States. We know the U.S. did bid this turn, so the Soviets will eat the cost, but we will offer a level 2 treaty to the United States. Nothing's going to happen right now. There's a whole bunch of minor effects, plus the treaty chart, and in addition to the treaty chart. So we also have U.S. entry. It'll be a +5, but nothing's going to happen. We have to get to the U.S. and have them accept it before any of this will happen. So the Soviets don't activate a minor, nothing like that. All they do is roll a die to see if they end the political phase. And geez, rolling a 10 is definitely not going to do it. So we will move down to the Germans, and let's go see what they're going to do. Germany has been looking over the situation in the Balkans, and she's not really happy about the way things are going. You got Bulgaria stacked with the Soviets and a treaty. They have a treaty with Bulgaria. You got Yugoslavia almost stacked with the Soviets. And the Soviets do have a treaty with Yugoslavia. And so war with the Soviet Union at a future date, if both those miners are stacked with the Russians, that means the Russians can activate both of them, bring them into the war, and that would open up a southern front. And I don't really think Germany is prepared to fight on a front that length and also invade the Soviets at the same time. So Hitler was looking at it, and he's not really happy the way things are. So it's kind of pushing them to the one of the desperate measures. And I think what the Germans are going to do is they're going to try a minor coup, and they're going to try it on Yugoslavia. Let me go dig out the rules and check how this is going to work, and I'll be back in a second. And I think that's probably a die roll, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so the coup will require a die roll, and there are some modifiers. Now, it's not 45, it's not 43, 44, it's not 41 or 42, so none of them are applicable. -1. the Germans had hoped for. But, well, I guess we'll just see how this will turn out. I'm going to go look up the Civil War thing. I got to dig out the Yugoslavia counters. And, yeah, okay, we'll go from there. Okay, rather than do that, we'll do that at the end of the political phase. We're just going to roll to see if Germany ends the turn. To the Japanese, and we will see what they're thinking about doing. Japan has decided that she's going to build a factory. It's going to cost her 8 money. It's going to take 4 turns. There's no U.S. entry. There's no, other than that, there's no cost in money other than the 8. And all Japan has to do is roll a die, see if she ends the political phase. And she ended the political phase. So much for the level 2 treaties for both the Italians and the Soviets. So the political phase is over. I got to get the Yugoslav counters out, and I got to figure out the Civil War thing. I think that's also going to require another die roll, but I'll be back with that in a second. Okay, so we roll a die on the Civil War table. Probably can't see it because it's right on the edge of the board. There it is. Roll a die, and there's a percentage of the current counter mix, which is either government or rebel. It can go from 30-70 to 70-30, depending on the die roll. So roll a die. The government is probably going to be controlled, no, it will be controlled by the Soviets, and obviously the rebels will be controlled by the Germans. Let's see what we get for a die roll. Okay, the die roll came out to be a 1. And that is going to be a 70% rebel, 30% government. I'm sorry. Yeah, 30% government. And for the Navy, there's only 1 ship. The Navy is going to be 50-50. There's 1 ship. I'll have to figure out that. Well, it actually says, yeah, 50-50. I don't know. I don't know in this case. So I have to figure out how do you split one ship 50-50. I'll have to figure that out. So I'll be back in a second with the allocation of the government and rebel forces, and then the placement of the units. Okay, actually I was wrong. There are actually two naval units. One is a convoy point. So 50-50 means one goes to each. So let's see who gets what. I'm just going to randomly pick these, and the government forces get the convoy point. I'm going to put them here. And the rebels will get the Dalmajucha, whatever that is. A light cruiser, I think. Yeah, it's a light cruiser. So, there are exactly 10 land units, basically. So, it's going to be 30-70. So, we're going to pick 3 units to be the government. This is random, so I'm just picking them out of a cup. Let's see what we got here. We got a infantry army. That's one of them. And then we got a infantry division. That's 2. And then we got a cav corps. That's 3. So all the rest are going to be rebels. Wanted to dump them right here. Now I have to decide, well, actually the controller of the government forces, who has a lower initiative than the rebels, because the Soviets are 2, the Germans are 3, will place first. Get all these guys out of here. Okay. So I think the government wants to place first. And they're going to place the 3-3 in Belgrade. That's what they want to do. Now, the rebels place, and they place 2 units. So they're going to place the 5-3 in Zagreb. And they actually got the fighter unit too, which should be helpful. And I think they're going to place, now every city and resource and port can take a unit. Okay, so they're going to place Prince Paul here in Sarajevo. I'm going to have to get some markers for this. So I think what I'm going to do, there are rebel government markers. I don't think there are a lot of them, though. Okay, there's exactly 3. So I'm going to mark the government forces with a government marker underneath. Now we place 2, the remaining 2, and I think we're going to place the 1-3 here and the 2-4 here, and those will both be government units, and we will mark them as such. I really don't care what happens to the convoy point. I mean, whatever. You know, whatever. The land units are far more valuable. All right, now the government basically is going to, the rebels are basically going to place all their remaining units. So they're going to place this in Split. They're going to place the 4-3 down here in Skopje. And we got a 4-4 mountain unit. I think we'll put him. We have to basically put them in cities. So we got Dubrovna. And now we can double them up. We got the air unit. We're going to put that in Skopje. And we're also going to put the militia. Everything starts face up, or I think the militia might start face down. We'll have to check that. Okay, so I grab that, definitely gets placed there. And I'll have to think maybe they start face down, the militia. I don't quite remember. I think so. I think that's the way that works. All right, so that's that. And so with the controller, the one side that will be controlled by the government is be controlled by the Soviets, and the rebels, who I have not marked with a corresponding marker, will be controlled by the Germans. So it'll also be indicative of what options the two major powers pick will depend on how or what that the units that they control in Yugoslavia are dependent on their option. Okay, so that being said, I think we're going to go check out reinforcements, roll initiative, and then get right into the turn. I don't really think this is going to be a tremendously long turn, because basically there's not a whole lot of land action going on, except maybe over in Asia. But we'll see. All right, I'll be back in a second. All right, let's take a look at May-June reinforcements for the Commonwealth. We have a battleship, the Ensign, a pilot, and a convoy point. I don't know about the pilot. I think I think they're gonna save the pilot. All right, so that will take care of that. All right. Oh yeah. Let's do the construction pool. We have 2 Italian ships and a German ship, an Italian cruiser, and another cruiser. 2 Italian cruisers going in the construction pool. And we have a German battleship going in the construction pool. Alright, for the Americans, we get battleship, good combat air group, 4 convoy points. So the Americans are getting a bunch of stuff. Oh, here we got Japan. We have the Musashi coming on map. We have a pilot. We have 3 convoy points and a pretty good combat air group. I'm going to credit the pilot right now. I don't know if the combat air group is going to come on map. I'm going to put it in the reserve pool for now. And move on. Alright, for the Italians have a carrier coming on map. I think that is their first one. A pilot, and a naval float plane. I think they're going to use the pilot, and I think they're going to use another pilot to bring a combat air group out of the reserve pool. So that's going to take care of that, and I think the combat air group is going to be this guy. I think he can go on there. No, we can't. Maybe this guy. This guy can. All right. Okay. All right. Now, the Germans are getting 2 pilots. 2 pilots. I think they anticipate building some air units. 1, 2. Take care of that. We got 5 offensive points for Germany. Yes, they are building offensive points. Building them back up because they basically spent everything they had. And they got the battleship, a pretty good 2-engine bomber, a mechanized corps, and an armored division. I would say I don't know if the bomber is a Ju-86G. It's going in the reserve pool. That's too bad. Oh, how did that get built? Oh, that's only 2 years. All right, the Soviets got 2 good infantry, good infantry army and an okay infantry army. And the Chinese are getting Chang back. They're getting in garrison army for the communists and a fighter. And guess what? They actually have a pilot, so they're going to put that fighter on map. All right, so let's go roll initiative before I get them guys on the map. See what we get for initiative, and we'll see what we get for weather. The initiative modifiers seems to be stuck there. +2 for the fascists and -1 for both the communists and the Democrats. Alright, here we go. Blue is Democrat, red is communist, and white is the fascist. So the Democrats, yeah, actually I just turned the camera. There we go. The Democrats got a 6, which becomes a 5. The communists got a 9, which becomes a 8. And the fascists got a 7, which becomes a 9. So the fascists actually won. So I think the fascists want to go first. I think they would like to go first this turn. And then I think, I don't really think it matters to either the communists or the Democrats. I think the communists want to go second. And the Democrats will bring up the rear last. I think it's time for at least the democracies to get out of the -1 box somehow, some way. So I'm going to get the, oh, let's roll the weather. Let's go roll the weather. There's actually a +2 to this weather roll. The chart is on the other side of the, there we go. So this is May, June. May, June. So we can see that May, June can have some pretty crappy weather, but we're going to be getting a minimum of a 3. Which is going to be fair and north temperate and fair Mediterranean. I think really that's all the Germans care about. So let's roll the die, see what we get. Well, 3 becomes a 6, which is fair weather everywhere except North Monsoon. It's actually the rainy season, and that's this time of year for that area. The impulse marker will move up 1, and there is no modifier to the die roll for our next turn. So I'll note all that down, and get the reinforcements on the map, and then we'll come back with the first set of impulses. Well, I'll actually probably come back with a fascist set of impulses. Back in a second. Okay, so the roll, because I forgot to press the record button, the roll came out to be a 9, and so that destroys both Chinese units, and half the Japanese units will remain face up. I will note the pilot. I got to go in and increase the pilots on a pilot track for both Japan and China, and land the air units, the 2 bombers, and we'll flip over to the European theater and see what's going on over there. Okay, over here in Europe, we had the Germans take a combined. They sorted their fleet into the Bay of Biscay, paid an offensive point for an additional naval move, and, well, we got to do the search rolls and stuff for that. In the meantime, they gave the rest of their land moves, or what, 3 of them? 1, 2 of their land moves to the rebel Yugoslavs. There's a lot of rebel units that are face down due to the setup rules, like the fighter. It's a current year unit, so it's face down. The militia units are also face down. The 5-3 is a current year unit, so that is also face down. So don't really expect a whole lot to go on here in Yugoslavia, but you never know. Okay, so let's get back to the potential naval action. The first thing we have to do is a search roll. This is something that I always have a hard time with, keeping these straight. Let's see. So I roll the search doc, as well as search number in the C box. Okay. No navs. No carrier unit with a 4. Alright, so it's just, I guess it's just going to be a straight up roll. See what we get. Well, that roll results in nobody found anybody. Nobody found anything. So that will be the end of this turn for this impulse, I'm going to do the democracies, or the communists, and then the democracies, and I'll be back with any results. Okay, during the communist impulse, the Soviets stacked up some units in Belgrade. I guess it's going to be last stand in Belgrade type thing, if they can manage to get the 1-3 there as well. Really isn't much more they can do than that. The Chinese, so we moved on to the democracies. The Chinese over here, they moved the Chongqing warlord out of, the Chengdu warlord out of Chongqing. They did that because they know they have both a 3-sided fortress coming in next turn and a 4-2 coming in next turn, and they're both going to go right here. And Japan can't do anything about it because all their units right here flipped over. So that's why they made that move. Other than that, they're just kind of standing pat, hoping for the best. Hope for the best, gonna get the worst, right? All right, we moved on to the democracies, and the Commonwealth, no surprise, sorted both their Mediterranean fleet based in Gibraltar and the home fleet based in Belfast down into the Bay of Biscay. Hoping to catch some German fleet. So we're going to roll some search dice. See what we get. Oh, and the other thing that the Commonwealth did was they aligned Norway. And since it was they took a naval move, they also moved the Norwegian fleet out of Norway into Britain. They don't really expect Norway to last too long, but it will be a pain in the butt for the Germans, and that's a good thing as far as the Commonwealth is concerned. So let's roll some search dice, see what we get. Well, I guess everybody's blind, because 7 and 8 definitely doesn't find anything whatsoever. So we will move on. I'm going to roll weather. Let's see what the weather roll is going to be for the next set of impulses. I don't expect a lot of action in Asia now. Oh, that's a 9. The rain and north monsoon just flipped over to storm. Everything else stays the same. So I will move on with that. I got to take a look at the fascists, see what they're going to do, and go from there. Okay, Germany once again. We're back to the fascist set of impulses. Japan, the only thing they did was move the unit from Japan to mainland China. They didn't do anything else. The Italians are not doing anything. Yeah, they're not doing anything. And so the Germans took a combined, and we're going to roll for search dice. We're also decided to target London with a bombing mission. So we're going to see how that's going to go. And so first thing we're going to do, we're going to try the naval thing. We're going to do a roll search dice, see if anybody finds anybody. Well, that's not too bad. So the Germans rolled a 3, and the Commonwealth rolled a 9. So I got to figure out what the surprise points and all that stuff is, and that usually takes some math. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I did all the math and all that stuff, and comes out to be Germany has 70 surface points and 25 ships, and the Commonwealth, because Germany's got Germany's unmodified surface roll was a 1 because of the convoy points. There's a total of 12 surprise points. So Germany's going to take a surface action. They're going to engage the convoy box, which is a 0 box. We're going to have 70 surface points versus 8 surface points. And we're going to take 3 ships up, I think. Yep, we're going to take 3 shifts up, which is going to be 4 kills and 2 aborts. So we're going to have 4 kills and 2 aborts. And the Commonwealth, because they have 3 cruisers against 25 ships, getting shifted down. They get 1 damage and 2 aborts. 1 damage, 2 aborts. All right. So we'll do the Commonwealths first. That's going to be Germany's pick. And I think they're going to take 3 convoy points. I'll take these 3 and sink them. Now the Commonwealth can pick a ship to sink. I think we'd rather take a cruiser. We'll take this one. And that's going to be an 8. So she gets a saving throw. She might only be damaged. Need a 9 or a 10. A 2 doesn't do it. It goes to the bottom. Germany gets to sink some more, and she's going to sink another 3 convoy points. I got to get some change. Okay, that's taken care of. And so now it's Commonwealth's turn. Yeah, we'll take another cruiser. It's cheaper. And it actually has a chance to survive. A 1 doesn't do it. That cruiser goes down. And then Germany has 2 aborts. She'll abort 3 convoy points. That's going to get a used convoy marker. And the Commonwealth will go for the cruiser. And that's an abort for a 6. That probably will get aborted. So it's aborted. So I'm going to put it over here. And then we got the Commonwealth, got 1 damaged and 2 aborts. They're going to try to damage the blue car because they got a chance of getting that. Those battleships, yeah. Actually, let's go for the Gneisenau. We're going to try to damage the Gneisenau. That's a save on a 3. Germany does save it, so it's aborted. So the Gneisenau has to go home. And then we got 2 aborts. This time we'll go for the cruisers. I'm going to get rid of them. Alright, so we're going to go for the blue chair. Commonwealth will pick the blue chair. See if she gets aborted. And she is aborted. And then Germany will pick the Tirpitz. That's a 2. That's not aborted. So 2 German ships go back to port. 2 British light cruisers get sunk and a bunch of convoy points. And that's the end of round 1. Now we're going to see if there'll be a round 2. Anybody going to abort? We did a lot of damage as the Germans. I mean, we could really get hosed. I think Germany will abort. So she's going to go back to port. And call it a day. Call it a good day. Because that was a good day for the Germans. They just sank a ton of convoy points. And the German fleet will be sitting here in port, doing nothing, and happy to do it. Well, that's the end of that. We did have some land movement up here in Norway. Looks like the Germans are getting ready to do something there. Not going to be this impulse. And down here in Yugoslavia used 2 of Germany's land moves. And that was the end of that. Over here, like I said, China didn't do nothing. So now I'm going to do the democracies and the communists, or rather the communists and then the democracies. And we'll come back and see if there's anything that happens. Oh, I forgot to do the bombing. Alright, so first we got the bombing. And we're going to have us a little bomb. Bomb going on here. Of course, the Commonwealth is going to rise to the occasion. Some interceptors. Spitfire no less. A 5.4 to 4.7. That's going to be a +1, -1. We're going to have an air battle. And I think there's an anti-aircraft unit there. So there will be some anti-aircraft fire. Let's go +1, -1. So the Commonwealth rolls first on the -1 chart. They're roll a lousy 10. That is defender, oh, actually it's on the +1 chart. Defender clears through any one bomber, so one of the bombers is getting through to face anti-aircraft fire. And then the Germans get to roll. They roll a 12, which is pretty much no better. On the -1, attacker clears through. Attacker clears through any one defending bomber. There aren't any. Alright, next round. Commonwealth rolls. They roll another lousy 12. Wow. On the +1. Attacker clears through any one defending bomber. So both defending bombers got through. The last roll thing we got, Germany gets to roll once, and they roll an 8. That's probably nothing. On the -1, 8. Yeah, I was right. It's a blank. Now we got some anti-aircraft fire. We have a total of 8 points of anti-aircraft against 2 bombers. That's the lowest of 4. Lowest of 4 dice. And they really need to get 10 points to really do anything. I think 5 will abort one. Well, a 2 is not going to cut it, because that's going to be 2 points. Anti-aircraft fire, 2 points. Abort 2 air to sea factors. Well, we're not using air to sea. Now we get the bomb. We got a total of 6 strategic bombing points. We're going to roll 1 die. We're not going to destroy anything. But we get the bomb for 1 die. I don't even think a 4 does anything. No, it's a blank. So, first day of the Blitz, and really nothing happened. So that was the end of that. We had to land all these lovely fighters. And I think we're going to have an attack in no, actually going to be next impulse. Alright, so nothing happened in China. The Soviets, they've been taking their combined options. They've actually managed to get a line put together. It looks pretty good for 1940. Over here in China, yeah, nothing else happened. And, yep, that was about it. Now we'll go back to the weather roll. The weather roll was a 10, which is going to be storm and north monsoon. There'll be a +1 to the weather roll for next time. Maybe it'll be an 11. Maybe we'll get snow in June. Can we get snow in June? No. No, actually a +1 means the weather's going to be even milder. Okay, so we're back to the fascist impulse. I think we got an attack up here in Norway. We got 9. Managed to get some German units up here over the last couple of sets of impulses. 9, 12, 24 to, I think this is 5. Yep, this is not, that the bombing was from the previous impulse. 24 and, oh, is it 24? Yeah, 24. Alright, we'll ground strike 1, and the other one will be air support, which will give it a 5-1. So the ground strike, that doesn't hit. Now we got a 5-1, +1 on the assault table. He's dead no matter what. Oh, maybe not. 5-1, +1. 5-1, +1. I rolled a 3, which becomes a 4, which is -1S, which is going to be enough. Enough to do Norway in. Yep. That'll be it for the Norwegian land forces. The Navy will remain in exile in England. So that's going to be it for the fascist impulse, and I'll move through the communists and the Democrats and see what they're going to do. I don't really think it's going to be much at this point. And we'll go from there. I'm probably just going to, unless anything happens, I'm probably just going to move through the rest of the turn and come back at partisan roll, U.S. entry roll, and production, because I don't really see a whole lot else happening at this point. Okay, I ran through the rest of the turn. I ended on the democracy, so there's no change. Much to the chagrin of the democracies. They would have liked to have it on the fascists, but sorry, no game there. Not much else happened on the board. A few units moved around here and there. That's about it. And the U.S. entry, doing really bad on U.S. entry rolls. Came out to a -1 for Germany and 0 for Japan. And it's about the only good rolling that Japan has done in this game is the U.S. entry rolls. Now, let's see, what else was there? Oh, partisans. Partisans was a big nothing. The roll wasn't even, I think it was France and China. There's no room in China for a partisan, and France, there's so well garrisoned it doesn't even count. So I went right straight to production, and let's get right into it. So Germany and all the major powers save some oil, one or more. Germany produced 31 and started with 24 and spent 25. A lot of ships for the Germans this turn. The Japanese produced 17, started with 7 and spent 7. The Italians produced 9, started with 9, spent 10. The Soviets produced 15, started with 11 and spent 11. The Commonwealth produced 13. Their production dropped a little bit because of the losses in the convoys. They produced 6 and spent 6. That 13 was a result of 4 build points Lend-Lease from the United States. The U.S. produced 16, sent out 5 in Lend-Lease, started with 10 and spent 11. The Chinese produced 7, 1 Lend-Lease and 2 cadres. Started with 5 and spent 5, and Free France produced 1, and they are now at -1. So I will get these units on the circle, and I'd like to thank you for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, enjoy all that, and I will see you next time.